Code Vein is a anime-styled Souls-like, which is just about the understanding I have on how to explain the game. Code Vein's story is quite upfront and important in comparison to other Souls-likes, or so I've heard, as I haven't been able to play many other ones yet admittedly. Personally, I find the story enjoyable, and you play as a Revenant, which are vampire-like humans that have been reanimated from a parasite implanted in the heart. Sometimes revenants suffer from memory loss and frenzy, which is a state a revenant falls into when they've been starved of blood. Overall, I would recommend playing the game. The customization options are quite impressive, the music is good. If I were to give it a rating in numbers, I'd probably say a 7 out of 10. But there are some plot holes that bug me. Spoilers ahead. The main plot hole I can think of is why Io can somehow resist Relic's power. Every other successor was constantly at the risk of frenzy, Io should be no exception. If the reason was foreshadowed and obvious, please explain it to me in the comments. She also becomes a tree. My best guess is that Io's will shape the form she would take after basically becoming the queen, but Io is Cruz's will, so why is she able to do what Cruz could not? Cruz, the queen, is also in extreme pain all the time and very aware that she was going to frenzy due to the painful experiments meant to stave off frenzy. See how that doesn't make a lick of sense? If they were fighting frenzy and were able to suppress the symptoms by giving her so many creatures blood, why the hell was she aware that she was about to snap, decide to kill everyone in the end? She was clearly trying to tell someone, hey lol, I'm gonna lose myself if you don't kill me. I'm guessing the introduction of so many different types of blood into Cruz ended up enhancing the boar parasite in her heart. While the symptoms of frenzy were suppressed, the new demands of the enhanced boar parasite was able to overwrite the original host's will completely. She's probably trapped in what looks like a nightmare while the parasite controlled her body, not unlike Jenkins when he got infected by the Flood in Halo, until main character put her out of her misery. It's probably why her eyes glowed blue rather than the normal red during Bloodthirst and Frenzy too. That's all I can think of for plot holes. Surely there are more, but I'm really dumb. Characters. I'll start off with the first one we're introduced to, Io. Io is a white-haired, golden-eyed woman who finds the MC and has been given the purpose to protect and serve them, to lessen the burden MC would have. Io's character arc focuses on free will and finding one's purpose. If you give her a stuffed animal, she'll refuse it as it reminds her too much of herself. Dolls are manipulated by exerting the owner's will on them, and Io, as an attendant of relics, was given the same order they all were by Cruz. There was no consideration of free will for most of them. Some even sacrificed themselves for their successor. I really like Io. I have to say that she's my favorite character. Most people probably found her bland. The second character we meet is Lewis, a revenant like the MC but not a successor. Taken aback by the MC's power to revitalize blood springs, he recruits them into his project to discover the source of the blood springs. Lewis had quite a bit of memory loss, and his heart tends to stem around discovering what had happened to him and his sister in the past, as well as Cruz, and where they ended up. As it turns out, Lewis was a successor who managed to feed many revenants and prevent the swelling of the ranks of Lost by sacrificing her own blood. We also have Yakumo, someone who I believe was an orphan hired by one of the game's antagonists, Mito, to be a mercenary, along with his other friends. His arc mostly has to do with getting revenge against Mito, as Mito was a terrible human being obsessed with evolution to the point where he would even experiment on humans and revenants alike. I wouldn't be surprised if he was the one that caused Cruz's frenzy because he didn't properly report that she was absolutely losing it, because evolution, Silva, evolution! Yakumo also discovers that his childhood friends had been made into Lost into successors before he woke up. Emily, someone I assume is probably in love with Yakumo, ended up the subject of one of Mito's terrible experiments. Thankfully, later in the game, we do kill the bastard. Mia, a young woman who was wandering the land to feed her dying little brother, discovers that her little brother was actually a clone meant to comfort her. Real Nicola had been made into a successor, believing his role was to protect her. The ironic thing is that Nicola made a clone of himself so Mia would have something to protect, as without him, she's without purpose. He finds the MC in the group and demands blood beads, which are items that stave off bloodthirst. those were the main characters, but I'm sure there's plenty of to talk about the supporting cast too, with Murasame, Coco, and Davis. I think I've satisfied myself with how much I'm talking about this game. See you guys in the next video.